How's that guy who's holding the Shaka Bra Bank? Are they all good? Like, do they ever check in with the videos, see how things are going?
Yeah. No, so I didn't like defraud them or anything.
No,
like,
I don't think you did either.
Yeah,
wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
You got your car; they get their payment.
What's crazy is that I told them, like, they knew from the get-go. I said, hey, this is the car. Most of it's underwater in this picture. And, I'm buying it. It does not run.
Much like me.
Yeah, exactly. So you're about to be underwater. Yeah. It's they're totally fine with it. They're awesome. Cheering me on. They're asking me how things are going. They watch the videos. So
are you making payments on a schedule against that $500,000? Okay.
Yeah.
How much is a car payment for a wet McLaren?
That is about six grand a month, something like that.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's like a mortgage. It's a mortgage on a car. Like, it's basically a house that is now floating down the street.
How are you so calm? I'm trying to remind myself I'm the same fucking moron who told Mr. Beast that he needed to be more financially conservative, and he knew what he was doing. So
I don't want to say that I know what I'm doing. But like, if you look at my monthly spend, if you want to have a real heart attack, my monthly spend right now is like $85K.
That's a whole lot.
Yeah. So
this is really not.
So this has to work.
A big thing to you at all.
No. 6K is not really it's a drop in the bucket. And
that's headlights.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I'm not. I wouldn't consider myself like rich by any means, but like it's going.
Oh, no. It's just the first $1 million of your income goes towards expenses, but you're not rich or anything. Yeah,
I'm the first $1 million. That's the hardest.
I just
one
live
to
on
make.
what I make past that $1 million, and I get by.
Can I just say that knowing what I know now makes me much more likely to watch your video, because I know you've got like some skin in this game.
Yeah.
Oh,
like this isn't one of those like YouTubers is like, yeah, I'm gonna do this project, maybe I'll finish. You're locked in.
I have to.
If I start on episode 1, there will be an episode 100 called "We're Done." Like because we're at it. It's got to happen, or there'll be a very sad in memoriam episode. I guess we could do that too.
Well, I could just do one of those episodes where I just sit down in front of the camera. I go,
it was all a lie.
Guys,
have a dog on screen with you.
Like, at what point is the problem not yours, right? Like, the cliche, like if you owe $5,000, you have a problem. If you owe $5 million, the bank has a problem. Where are you on that scale? I don't know.
I have never had a car loan before. This is my first car loan. So every car that I bought, it's we started big. But anytime I ever bought a car, whether it's a car for the channel or whatever, I always bought it cash, because I'm sort of a Dave Ramsey fan, but like whatever. It's I'm not down as far as he is down that path, but like honestly, I hate owing people money. I hate it so much, so it's always at the forefront of my mind. I don't just go, oh yeah, well, it's not my money. Like my number one priority is to make as much money as I can so I can pay this thing off as fast as I can. And then after that, like I can sell this thing for what I got it for if I wanted to. If I wanted to sell this to some rich dude that wanted to make furniture, it'd be worth at least that.
Have you considered that you might now become the guy if someone's got a supercar that's been damaged to like I could send it to that guy. He's the one that took that drowned McLaren and brought it back to life.
Of course, but I'd never do any work for anybody else because I'm no good at that. I can't imagine being on the hook for somebody else's $1 million anything. I wouldn't have anybody come to me with their 350Z, much less the McLaren. So I do this for myself. I do this just because I like learning and I like sharing it with people. But other than that, like, you should not bring cars to me. That's not a good idea.
Damn.
Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah, you are.
A little bit, yeah.
You got a lot on your plate. That is so much more expensive than I could have imagined this process would be.
Honestly, yeah. I'm flabbergasted. That's a big project. Like, if you tell me those numbers about a house you were building, I would be like, damn, that's gonna be a big fucking house, huh? 85
$6,000
a month,
a big car.
mortgage.
So this car,
tiny car.
exactly,
like
it's
this
small.
tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this car was, before I got it, this car was supposed to be the record holder for price on one of these things. So it had 315 miles on it. It had basically delivery miles. So it went up on auction, and I think it no-sailed at 1.6, and the guy bought it for $2 million. He had it for 10 days, and then the storm hit. And then that's it. And then that's all she wrote. So the car had 315 miles, and like I like to say,
Still
500
does.
nautical yards.
Yeah.
It still does.
It's the fastest moving McLaren in water ever.
Over water. It was a pretty good boat for a little bit, like it has a carbon
Before the
tub.
fire.
So, before the electrical fire. No, but like it was okay. It has a carbon tub. It kind
My
of
goodness.
floated a little bit, and then the water got in and it wasn't so good anymore.
And from the very beginning, your intention was to, because all right, so I have a rudimentary knowledge of restoring cars and building cars. I would be like, McLaren stuff, everything in here is so expensive. Let's just put some Chevrolet shit on the inside.
Yeah.
Let's just take a Corvette drivetrain and drop it in here. Like that would be my first move, because I can go get everything off a shelf and just plug it in.
Yeah. Like, so with me, that was, it's always an option to be like, all right, we're going to turn the back end of this thing into a Honda Civic. But like, I am really big on theming, and it would be a disservice to people if they didn't see that car, come back either as good as it once was or better than it once was. And it's really hard to convince people that you're going to make things better when the car is already so good and the car was so messed up when I got it. Yeah. So they're just doubting me on both fronts. So I think if we could get the car down the path to where it like runs and drives, and then not only that, it is now faster and more agile and looks better and all that stuff, then I think we have a compelling story. But, me putting in like a Corvette drivetrain, like it's fine to get the car down the road. It wouldn't be enjoyable. It would be like, it wouldn't be, a McLaren P1. It would just be a Chevy Corvette in a kit car,
Exactly. But it would be easy.
It would be easier. So there's whenever I see like rebuilders on YouTube, they fall into a few different categories. So the first category is they do these rebuilds to be YouTube done, meaning that you don't see the gauge cluster when they turn this thing on. When they turn this thing on, it lights up like a Christmas tree. Every single warning light is on, and they'll have airbag warning lights and stability control and blah, blah, blah. This thing's crab walking down the road because they didn't have it aligned. But it looks on camera, it's like a movie car. On camera, it's totally okay. It's,
like Pit My Ride. It's all,
yes,
it's all style, no substance.
Exactly. So, when you find out like, oh, what these cars are actually like, oh my God, I wouldn't. That thing's a death trap. But you have other people, and hopefully I try to go more into this camp. But it's like, for me, I hate having warning lights on the dash. I hate knowing that there's something wrong with the car. Like it'll bug me, to the end of the earth. So every single car I have, like I'll take it to a show. I'll take it to, the SEMA show, which is like this really big gathering of aftermarket parts. It's this giant thing in Vegas. And every year I bring a car there. I want people to go see it. You can scrutinize it. You can just look inside and see what kind of work I do. And, and we actually drive these cars, and these cars don't, they drive perfectly normally. They're not, they don't have any weird driving characteristics. I let other people drive them on tracks, stuff like that, where they're actually performing the way they should. We put them on dynos, things like that. So if the car does blow up, you'll see it,
Yeah.
I like that. That's really cool that you do a good job. I'd also be okay if you didn't and you were honest. And I'm thinking of Rich Rebuilds. Like a lot of his stuff, he's got idiot lights going off everywhere. And he's like, yeah, I would never give this car to anyone else.
Yeah. So Rich is a really good friend of mine. He's an amazing guy. So oh my God. I don't know if he wants me telling this story, but I mean, it was in one of his videos, so he probably should. So we went to go buy a McLaren for him. Like he found a McLaren that was in South Florida. And South Florida is the exact place you do not want to go buy a car, especially a McLaren. So South Florida, we get there, and it's like this compound in the hood, like the hood. There was barbed wire. There's armed guards there. And then we get in, and there's this dude. Apparently, he's the owner or the owner's son. He has a guy following him with a giant freaking carbine, just walking around. This place looks like a third world country. I'm sorry, developing country. And and then like we see the car, and I'm there. He brought me along because I know a few things about McLarens, and I had my McLaren diagnostic. The car wouldn't start, and I was like, "Hey, I bet we can get this thing to start. If we just code a few things." So I'm standing there, like I get in the car, and it's right next to the men's room, which is the door wide open. It smells like piss and shit. It just smells like it. Exactly, men's room. And we have this car that should have been $200,000, and it was the most insane thing ever. We actually got it, end up getting the car running. We got it on the trailer, and then on the way out, we probably saw 15, 20 hookers on the same street. So it was like it's stuff like that is great.
That explains the 85 grand a month. Now I know where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like. These are the kinds of adventures you get into when you buy, really crappy cars for YouTube, and you can't really put that all on camera. But it was an insane story.
So this guy was wealthy enough to live, I assume wherever he wanted, since he had a $200,000 car, and he lived like right next to a men's room in the hood.
Yes. So he had a business that would take these cars. Like, so we were surrounded by other. We're surrounded by other, exotic cars like Lamborghini Urus, like that SUV or whatever. He had like 3 of them. There's another McLaren. There's a Ferrari. And, he would get these cars from Copart or, whatever salvage lot. And then he would export them. And when you export things tend, paperwork tends to go missing. And, the laws surrounding rebuilds, they're probably not a little less stringent. So things like that. But that was the sort of business that, he ran, and he had to have armed security 24/7. So I don't know. Take.
You made me think of the potential for scamming in that world. Like, do you know any stories of someone like paying hundreds of thousands for a car, and then it arrives and it is what you described earlier? Like, this is a Corvette in a fucking Bugatti shell. So and there's no recourse.
Yes and no. I mean, that you don't really get catfished with cars. Like sometimes you get, people buy cars and they're like, oh my God, this car's a piece of crap. But that's, you could do that with a Honda Civic. What happens with hundreds of thousands of dollars, when it's, when you have exotic cars and you're at that price point, is that people will find out that you're looking for a car, and then they'll match up with somebody else that's selling that car. They will copy that listing, pretend they're the seller, and then basically talk as an intermediary to both parties, thinking so that way the guy can go see the car. Like this just happened at a dealership to a friend of mine, and he was like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the dealership. I'm going to check out the car. Car checks out. It's it's a good price. Then he goes back to negotiate, and then he finds out something's wrong. He's like, was there an Irish guy, in this equation? He's like, no, we don't have any Irish people working here. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. The guy I talked to was very, very heavy Irish accent. And then, it turns out the guy was, offering the car for like 15% less, but he was like, all right, I need you to wire me 150 grand, and then you can come get the car. But he would have wired this total stranger 150 grand, and the car's not even his. So, I don't know how many of those you can do without getting, murdered. But
probably not a lot with that kind of money.
Better have armed guards 24/7 if you do that.
Yeah. And there's a reason that guy was doing that from Ireland. Like a little bit of safety there, probably.